Yo guys, I'm studying. I just printed like over 400 pages from William Delbert Gann, and I came across this letter from him, which I basically want to take you guys with me in my journey of learning recently, because I think there's basically really a lot of interesting things that William Delbert Gann is saying in this letter. Also, what's very interesting is that he was going through similar times as we are going right now as well. So I can, when I read this letter of him, you can really feel the frustration that he had in that time with the government. I think it was the Roosevelt administration. So guys, you know what? I think short-term speculation is very interesting, and I know that when I make videos about short-term speculation, these are always getting the most views because everyone wants to know what the price is going to do today, so you can make money today, basically, right? You just want to get the latest market updates. But to be honest, guys, in this time that we are living right now, I think these things are way more important. Here is knowledge, there is biblical knowledge of the ages in these papers, that will once you get that, once that knowledge will be received into your system, it's worth more than any short-term speculation, because this will help you with long-term success. Okay guys, so this video might take a while. If you just want to listen, you can just put earplugs in, right? Have a coffee with me. I don't have coffee right now, but I'll just go over these letter with you. So I will read some things and I'll give my opinion and just a little bit summary over the letter. So this is a letter that William Delbert Gann wrote in 1940. Let me just double check. On May 24 in 1940 from Miami, Florida. And guys, a little bit background about William Delbert Gann. William Delbert Gann, we can take so big of an example of this guy in right now. You will listen, you will hear that once I talk about what he's writing in this letter. But this guy is a example, and we should really learn from this guy. We should take advantage of it, and he did that also. He put a lot of things in place in his time that right now are still alive. For example, these letters where we can learn from, where we can develop ourselves from, and where we can improve our future, even predict our future. Because in this letter he predicts some stuff that is actually came to pass, guys. Okay, so quick surrounding. I'm here at like some harbor or something. I have the sun right now in front of me, so yeah, I'm wearing sunglasses. But yeah, now you know how my eyes look like. Okay, so let's start with this letter. So the title of the letter is Face Facts America. Face Facts. In 1940, this was the Second World War, after the First World War. So there was already pretty lot of instability in the country, right? And one thing that he already says right here, and this is guys, this is golden information, is I have discovered through knowledge gained in reading the Bible. And he's basically saying, like, he wrote a book in 1927. I read that book too, The Tunnel Through the Air, all looking back from 1940. So apparently in this book he has hidden many secret things, that if you uncover these secret things, you'll be able to forecast the future as accurate as William Delbert Gann, because his methods are basically encoded in that book. Well, I'm trying to decode that book. I'm already reading that book for a long time, but now I start to see more and more things, but it is really complex. It's not that easy. But nevertheless, it's super interesting. It's one of the greatest puzzles you can do, right? It's really beautiful. So, but the reference that I'm making, that I want to read right here, is he referenced the Bible because most of his knowledge is coming directly from the Bible, the Old and New Testament. So he used the Bible to make an analysis, to have certain cycles, to get a method to predict the future. And he could predict the future of the stock market with a 92% accurate, like on the hour. He did that. He predicted things on the hour. That's how crazy it was. So I foresaw what would have happened, and it has come all to pass. All has come true. Unbelievable weapons of death and airplanes making 500 to 600 miles per hour are being used in the war. All of these things I predicted in my book, The Tunnel Through the Air, in 1927. Yeah, it's kind of true. This one really struck with me too. We must first determine the cause and not deal with the effects, because dealing with the effects instead of causes is what has brought all of the troubles to the world and to the United States. This is also very much true. The cause, the law of cause and effect, like the effects is always the physical manifestation. So if you only look at the physical manifestation and you not analyze the cause, the root cause of it, you can never solve a problem, right? If you just focus on the physical manifestation, you're always dealing with the effects, you will never solve that problem. So we have to focus on the root cause. And this is also very interesting. He says the greatest cause of all is greed for power and money. So even this guy who was trading, who was wealthy, he was one of the first guys who had his private airplane in the United States, I believe. I heard this. This is a rumor I'm not really sure about. He even says that the greatest cause of all evil is greed for power and money. And he also says that he got this from the Bible, because he says in the Bible also it says the root of all evil is the love of money. So we have to take that into account too, guys, right? I mean, we are here to make money, right? But like if that's the only goal for us, like to make money, sorry guys, but we're not gonna make it. This is not the goal. The goal just to be here to make money, to accumulate as much as possible. This is a lost goal. You are losing the battle with that mindset. It is okay to make money. It is okay to save money. It is okay to accumulate money. But it is not the goal. You should have a higher purpose, right? Like, very important. If your goal is just to make money, guys, this is you already lost the battle. And he even talks right now about why Hitler succeeds. And he says that there are kind of like cycles, that every 20 years there's like a new young generation coming that is pretty vulnerable and that really has a weak point for hope. So when these leaders like Hitler comes and they bring a lot of fake hope, they bring a lot of hope and prosperity, like fake prosperity, then they can win the hearts of the young minds, which will then eventually get the votes, and the votes will make them into power. And he's talking about also about that Germany had a very big debt after the First World War. I don't really know about this, but he said Germany has a very big debt after the First World War, and instead of paying that debt, I think to France and England, or maybe also to the United States, instead of paying that debt, they actually invested that money that they made into a new war. So he said, like, this is a really big problem, that debts are not being paid, which we are also seeing, of course, in today's society. This also struck with me what he said. He said, it's always darkest just before dawn. And he said, as I write on May 24, 1940, it looks bad for the Allies. And the Allies is, of course, the United States. And the ones that are fighting against Hitler. And he said it is always darkest before dawn. So when he was writing this, he already said, like, it looks bad for the Allies, it looks bad for the ones that are fighting against Hitler. It was looking good for Hitler, basically, for Germany. And this is also true. It's always darkest just before dawn. This is one of the laws that we also see a lot in the universe, because before we are seeing a change, it first goes to a certain extreme. You can call this a climax, an extreme point, and then it goes into another direction. It's like a pendulum shifting from one place to another place, right? So it's always darkest before dawn. So imagine, guys, every time you feel very bad, you are in a very dark place, and you feel really fucked up, think about that. It is always darkest before dawn. Okay? Just some positive things here, right? And then he talks about should the United States enter the war, and he basically says yes, the United States should enter the war. They have like an obligation to do that because Germany and Hitler, they will try to rule the world, and if the United States will not enter the war right now and help the allies, so to say, in the Second World War, Hitler or Germany will win, and then once they win, they will have to fight America, which will be a far greater battle than if America would just step in earlier, which they basically did, right? I know there are a lot of controversial opinions about the Second World War. I have not been there. I have not done my due diligence or my extensive research on that. But I like to look at right now from Gann, W.D. Gann's point of view, because I'm really inspired by this person. Also what he says right here is we must blame ourselves for Germany not paying. Because it was the United States that declared the moratorium and gave Germany a chance to welch on her debt. Well, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But what I like in this sentence is he says we must blame ourselves. When someone says that we must blame ourselves, it's like take responsibility. This is a attitude of a mature soul, a mature human being. And he's talking also about the New Deal, and the New Deal basically is something that looks very much like what we are seeing in today's society as well. It's like maybe a little bit left-wing politicians that are creating crises and then borrowing money, and that New Deal is just about borrowing money and getting the country into more debt. And he's talking about it, that he says that this is going to ruin the complete country, and he was completely right on this, guys. And he also talks about this. It is human nature for most of the people to be looking for something for nothing. And this is also with that New Deal and maybe also the Green Deal that we hear in today's politicians. We want something for nothing, right? Like, this is in human nature, that's what he says. And he says that's a very big problem, because the people that want something for nothing, they want to do nothing but they want something, you're always going to create a problem, because you're going to borrow prosperity or borrow time from the future, right? So to have an attitude like to want something for nothing, that ain't really benefiting the planet. It's also not benefiting you personally. But so be careful for yourself as well. If you try to get like very easy money, try to get like things very quickly might not be the worst, but if you try always to take the easy road, right? While you deep in your heart actually know, like, yeah, if I take this road, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but the chance of succeeding is great. To take that road, because that reward you will reap. As you sow, you will reap. Then let's go to the taxes. And then he also talks about this. This is, again, this is what we are seeing in these times too. They create fears in minds of people and then raise false hopes. And that's how they confiscate basically taxes. Government debt, he's talking about it. He said, while the New Dealers do nothing but continue to run the government into debt and will not stop until we face bankruptcy, they will never stop until everything is wiped out and all values are destroyed. Well, we kind of see that in today's society as well. And this is crazy, guys. When I was reading it, I was like, wow, time has really, like, we came a long way right now. So the government was in debt of 70 billion US dollars. That was the debt ceiling. And then he said, like, once the government debt will be at 70 billion US dollars, they will raise the ceiling to 100 billion US dollars. Well, we already know what the United States government debt is right now. That is pretty crazy. And 70 billion dollars is kind of like nothing. It's really nothing. These are facts to be faced. For it is natural for people to turn against the hand that feeds them. This is also very interesting. We find the same in family life. A relative who refuses to work and is supported by some of the family will turn his hand against them, forgetting all the favors and the good things they have done for him just as soon as they discontinue to help him. Facts are an anchor for the stability of the country. Hopes are the quicksand on which bankruptcy and disaster are founded. He's also talking really a lot about don't get your hopes up, like stick with the facts. And I definitely agree with that, because hoping implies kind of not doing an action. But I think faith will be even more important, because we need a lot of faith. We need a lot of inspired action that is done through faith, because you need to do an action where you cannot see the result, and that requires faith. So I think faith is actually maybe more important right here. But I think he calls that, facts. He's talking a lot about facts. He said the whole idea of the New Deal has been that by continuing to go into debt, they can buy prosperity. Well, that is also what we are seeing right now. Just continuing going into more and more debt, we can have prosperity. But in the end, where is the prosperity? Because if you look at the world around you right now, like, of course, there is some prosperity, but production costs, everything went down as well. Like, there is not that much prosperity. There's actually a lot of hardship in the world right now, especially mentally and spiritually, but also materially. So no business or government can continue to spend more than its income without someday facing bankruptcy. This is a very hard truth as well. Like, if you are a business, like, you cannot like continue to get more and more and more debt. There will come a day that you have to face the reality, and this is the same as the government. In many cases, and this is a very interesting one, in many cases property in the state of New York is assessed at 2 or 3 times the actual value, and the taxpayer is forced to pay the taxes on false values. Is not this confiscation of property? I find that a very interesting thought, which nowadays already is, people don't think about this anymore, but back in the days in 1940, he was already, that was more normal thought, right? Because it was just happening. The prices of houses just went up, so the property taxes on houses also just went up, right? But the housing market is basically inflated, so you pay property taxes based on inflated prices. Is that not confiscation? Is that not stealing your money? Is that not confiscation of your property? Then he's talking about a lot of recessions and depressions or panics that were solved without the help of government relief. So we had panics in 1937, 1841, 1853. He names a couple of them. And then he said, we had able men at the head of the government during those times who pulled us through those panics without any government relief. And each time the country emerged to greater prosperity. Why? Because people worked from dawn to dusk. They didn't expect something for nothing. They worked, right? Working. Also pretty important, right? Action also carries energy, which is very important. Has government regulations helped the people? Well, he's actually talking about the SEC right here as well. He says the Security and Exchange Commission has done the greatest damage to this country that it is possible to have done. The result is that they have caused thin markets and made stocks hard to sell, causing some of the sharpest and greatest declines in the stocks in the history of the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, interesting. He said this would not happen. A lot of these crashes would not happen if a free and open market was permitted. That's what he says. Because he say the order books are like on purpose really thin. So yeah, of course, then you get slippage and the prices can fall or rise dramatically. So they have, with thin order books, you can basically have more control, right? Then he's talking about time cycles and natural law. He said, in the Bible, which I followed by man, will guide him wisely and enable him to see into the future and to prepare and protect himself and his country in times of greatest danger. I think we all need to do this. We all need to do this. Then we are going to some predictions from him. He's talking about the stock market from 1941 till 1950. Interestingly, to be honest, guys, he's not right on everything. I've checked it with the stock market, and he might be right with his interpretation, but sometimes the value of the stock market went up. While he said it's going to be a hard year, but it was not like extremely bullish year or something, but definitely the market went up while he said down. So I did caught some years that was not that accurate, but in general, in the big lines, he is right. And he even says, guys, in 1949, he says there should be a better business brought about by a new discovery or revolutionary invention. Well, I don't know if you guys know it, but this was a time where a lot of things were invented, including the television, at this specific time that he's talking about. So 10 years before it actually happens, he says in 10 years there will be a new business boom, new invention, new technology, and that actually happened. Well, if you predict that, I think that is really wow. He also talks about inflation and deflation, and that he says many people, he's talking a lot about this New Deal, right? And this New Deal is basically printing money and having more government debt, basically. And then he says everyone expects that is inflationary, and therefore they protect themselves by going into stocks. And on the one hand, they are right, but he said everything that the New Deal has done is doing is deflationary and not inflationary. And I do get that, because in terms of purchasing power, your US dollar values always go up, right? The numbers go up, but your purchasing power doesn't go up. So there is a difference right there. So that's what I often say, there's an illusion of that bull market, because since the year 2000, for example, we haven't came back to the same purchasing power of the stock market as where we are trading right now, guys. But in terms of numbers, we made new all-time highs. So you get my point. This is a bit confusing, but I understand what he's trying to explain. And he says the remedy, and now it's getting interesting, guys. I have learned by making mistakes and know that wisdom and knowledge are the greatest powers in the hands of any man or nations. Guys, learn from your mistakes. This is a true power that you possess. Learn from your mistakes. Make mistakes. Learn from them. If you learn from your mistakes, guys, this is the way how you really get successful in life. And now and now he's talking about reduced taxes as well, balanced budget. Those who save. All right, let me put it like this so I can talk to you guys. Those who save must be permitted a reasonable return on their money in the way of interest rates. If the government keeps on cutting down interest rates to get control of the banks and all the money in the country, this will make conditions worse. If the government continues to take more and more in taxes, finally, when there is no more to take, where are we going to get the money to continue to pay the expenses of running the government? So this is also like when you keep on printing money, you keep on raising the taxes, and the government just get more and more debt. At one moment, when nobody has anything left anymore, how are you gonna get the money? Also interesting, guys, he's talking about Venezuela here, the land of hope and promises, and he's talking basically that Venezuela has they have one of the biggest oil reserves. That he found very interesting, but also he said it's the only country that doesn't have a debt. The government doesn't have a debt. So he actually says that you could move to Venezuela, and it's good to start a business there. I think right now it might change. Like maybe if you would do the same research that he did back then, right now the country would be a little bit different. But you can also see what happened in Venezuela with the hyperinflation. I don't know the exact cause of it, but it's kind of funny that he mentions Venezuela as the only country without government debt, and they had a crazy hyperinflation. One of his solutions, guys, and I'm completely 100% agree with this, he says back to God. William Delbert Gann was a very religious human being. He read the Bible many times. Most of his knowledge is coming from the Bible. He really believed that all the numbers in the Bible, things that are mentioned in the Bible, can be applied on many things in life, and that can help one as an individual or as a country to become extremely successful. But he said we must have a spiritual revival. People have gotten too far away from God. Selfishness and greed for power and possessions has increased, and we must return to reason, soundness, justice, and brotherly love. Well, guys, if that not is applicable to what we are seeing right now, I don't know what is. But I think he's 100% right on this. We are coming to the end of the letter. He says the new dealers The new dealers, he means a little bit kind of like the government man, people who want something for nothing, just print money, just have higher debts. That's what I understand from it. The new dealers have passed so many unjust laws that people have grown to disrespect these laws and refuse to obey them. But once they understand God's laws and God's ways, they will obey them because they know they are for their own good. Wake up, America. The truth has been concealed and kept from the people. The truth must be told and they must face facts before it is too late and do something about it. We have a great country, and with an honest administration in Washington, we can overcome a lot of our troubles. But without a change of policy and administration, the worst can and will happen. W.D. Gann. From Florida, guys. So I just like this is just an old letter that I came across. I just finished reading it today, and when I was reading it, I was just like, wow, so many things that are still applicable in today's society. And this is also a little bit with the knowledge, the sacred knowledge from the Bible and the cycles, that the teachings of Gann or the teachings of the Bible, they are not bound to time. They count now. They count in 10 years, they count in 100 years, they count in 1,000,000 years, because there is nothing new under the sun. Time, we experience time, or we think in time as linear, but time is not linear. Time is circular, which means that there is a 0 point, and every time we go back to that 0 point, which means that there is a rhythmic pattern in time that is just going on a loop, but expresses itself slightly different because of the course of history, evolution, you name it. But time is not linear, it is cyclical in nature. That's why the laws that are being taught in the Bible, they are valid now. They were valid 100,000 years ago. They are going to be valid for the next 100,000 years, because it is a repetition of the past. There's nothing new under the sun. So yeah, guys, I thought this was interesting. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. How I interpreted this a little bit is like, yeah, it's just crazy times that we are living in, and we are definitely getting closer to a end game. But I also feel from this letter that Gann was feeling that too. So this is also part of the times, right? We are in the part of the cycle where we are kind of in the end of the cycle, but a new cycle will be born from this. And it feels now like the end times. It is also the end times, but from these end times, probably a new cycle will be born. The big question is, of course, especially with crypto and the government debt and the world and the system, is how is this reset going to look, right? Is crypto just going to take over? Should you position in crypto? Should you be positioned in cash because of this recession that is coming up? I think I personally have the answer for myself, but I'm not 100% sure of that answer. But I will talk about that more in future videos, because we are already at almost half an hour, guys. I'm sitting here already half an hour in the sun. I'm burning. But I love reading this, and I just want to take you guys into my journey as well. And I know, again, like short-term speculation is all nice. A lot of altcoins are exploding. It's beautiful. I've been already bullish for months. I'm not changing my thesis on this, but these things are more important, because this will set you, these values and this knowledge will set you up for life, not only for today or tomorrow. You make a little bit of money today, you make a little bit of money tomorrow. It's nice, but the real values, the biblical values, will set you up for life. And we need more studies of this, because we need to have this implemented in the new system, in the governments, in the businesses. These biblical laws, they need to be implemented in all of these facets of life. Even back to the church, because probably most churches are probably not living by the implementation of the true biblical laws. I'm not here to judge, but we can just see it in the how the world looks like right now. Not many people are connected to these truths. So we personally need to connect back to these truths, but institutions, businesses, all need to connect to these truths as well. And it starts by you. Be the light in your environment. Guys, that was it for today's video. Wish you all a beautiful day. And I hope to see every single one of you in the next video. Bye bye.